Record. Okay, so Rabbi Nachman is now going to explain something very interesting. So first he says, fear is in the heart. So why is that important to us? What do we care? Rabbi Nachman is going to explain. There are three things that destroy Jerusalem. There are three things that destroy a person's heart. And it takes away your healthy fear, which is all dependent in the heart. The three things are, he's going to mention now, are normal healthy things and are necessary for functioning in life. But these are the three things, when they go out of whack, can help send you on a very self-destructive way. And Nachman now is explaining it. When I read this, I was like, wow, this is so cool. The three things are craving wealth, craving food, and craving immorality. So in the correct measure, these things are normal. Good, very important to have money. You have to pay your bills, you got to get groceries, send your kids to yeshiva. Food is very important, Shabbos. My wife is a fantastic cook, and having relations is very important. It brings a couple together. We're not Christians, we're Jews, and that's what Hashem wants. So when these things go out of whack, Rabbi Nachman is going to explain now what happens. All these three things are centered in the heart and have the power to make a person unstable and unhealthy and take away his health. Now Rabbi Nachman is going to explain why he said these things. He always brings a sentence or a pasuk. Now he says, wealth, the desire for wealth is rooted in the heart. As it is said, God's blessing enriches, and no sadness is added to it. It's in Proverbs. So 31. If a person has money, he doesn't become depressed. But God forbid a person doesn't have a job, he gets depressed. This is most of my commentaries from Rabbi Nosson Maimon, who has this whole Likutei Moharan on audio, so you can get it from them. I can tell you where to get it. You can email me. So everything that I'm saying now is from Rabbi Nosson Maimon. 99% is from him, 1% is from me. He says, Rabbi Maimon said, money cures depression. If a person doesn't have money, he gets very depressed, God forbid. So everything's in the heart. The source of this is in the heart. Second thing, food is the concept of bread sustains the heart of man. A very famous saying. Heart, again, the desire for food roots in the heart. Sexual desire, the third one, too, is in the heart, because desire stems mainly from the passion produced by the heart, produced by the blood in the heart's ventricle. Very interesting stuff. So they asked the question, Rabbi Maimon asked the question, why these three in this sequence? Wealth, food, and immorality. Because wealth is what people are doing most of the time. It's the number one struggle that people are running to. 99% of the time they're running for the money, going to jobs. So that's why it's mentioned first. Food, you can only eat so much, but it's necessary. You get filled up, you get finished. And having relations, you can only do so much, and you have to go into a healthy balance. And so that's why it's mentioned third. So again, all these things, if they're done right, are holy and are necessary and are mitzvot and are commandments. But when they're done unhealthily, imbalanced, and not according to Torah, everything goes out of whack, and it damages your inner heart, and it damages also Jerusalem, the land. And Menachem is going to explain this right now. Just let me quickly read through it. Okay, let's go to the next page. Okay, the next page gets super interesting. I flipped out when I read this. Rabbi Nachman now is bringing seemingly a non-related Talmud to this Torah lesson. Originally, the Talmud had an argument whether the nighttime is separated or divided by 3 times or 4 times, whether the night was divided 3 ways or 4 ways. In the end, the 3 ways was agreed upon. Now he's going to explain something that's going to get very interesting. So all these 3 things, since they're sources in the heart, if they're done the wrong way, they damage the heart. So you see a person has a broken heart, a person has a damaged heart, he's dark, he's depressed, because he's not connecting with himself. Now, this is now a Gemara we're learning. Rabbi Nachman is not teaching Gemara. The night consists of 3 watches. At each watch, the Holy One, blessed He be, sits and roars like a lion. As it is says, God roars from on high, in Jeremiah. The sign for each watch is as follows. The first watch, the donkey brays. The second watch, the dogs bark. The third watch, an infant nurses from his mother. And also a woman converses with her husband. This is from Brachot 3a. You can look it up. So the donkey is the first part of the night. The barking dogs are the second, and the third is the baby wakes up to nurse, and the husband and wife speak to each other. Rabbi Nachman is now going to take this Gemara and put it into our lesson. So in Hebrew, the 3 watch, the word watch is mishmarot. The commentary says here, Mishmarot has the word lishmor, which means to guard against. That a person should know that these things are in his system. He's designed to go through this darkness in his life, and he has to watch out for it. So watches really means you should know that this is not who you are, but you have to go through these things and you have to get out of them. Okay, so nighttime, Rabbi Nachman is going to explain. How are we doing? Good? Nighttime is darkness. It means obstacles. In the nighttime you can hit things and you can fall, you can get hurt. So he says the word in night in Hebrew is hoshech, but if you play around with the dots on the bottom of the letters, it says hashach, which means to withhold or to hold back. The nighttime, a person can really fall more than in the daytime. Okay, so we're going to continue. The first watch, a donkey brays. This corresponds to the craving for wealth. As it says, Yisachar, one of the tribes, is a strong-boned donkey. And what does it have to do with money? So you see the donkey, they say, even in the hottest day of the summer, he feels cold. But there's also a good thing about a donkey. A donkey can be very cold to the most beautiful things. But there's a good thing that one of the tribes, Yisachar, was very strong. Like a donkey can hold very heavy things. And Yisachar used to handle a lot of Torah. He was known as the highest tribe. He knew the most Torah. And Onkelos, the Roman who became a convert and who became one of the highest teachers in the Jewish world, who wrote the Torah in Aramaic, says in Hebrew, Yisachar is rich with possessions. So that has to do with wealth. So Rabbi Nachman says that whenever you hear a donkey making that noise, it really means you should think that the Kabbalah and the Zohar tells you should think when the donkey does that, it really and it's allegory for someone who wants more money, whatever that means. Yossi, you know what I'm saying? It's weird, right? Okay, you got it? Okay. Susan, you want to say? Okay. Let's go to the next level. Second, the dog's bark. This connotes the craving for food. As is written, the dogs are brazen and they are never satiated. We had a dog, his name was Schnapps. Friday night, after we ate, my mother would let him go with a vacuum cleaner on Shabbos. You can't use a vacuum cleaner on Shabbos, right? No. My dog was a vacuum cleaner. It's 5 minutes, everything was cleaned up. So everybody knows the dog is never satiated. They eat till they drop. Yeah. So dogs, when they're barking, this means the idea of food. I call it food worship. You ever watch television? Non-stop commercials. McDonald's, pizza, non-stop. It's making you worship food. It's endless. You know? The third watch, an infant nurses from his mother, and a woman converses with her husband. Rabbi Nachman says this third watch represents the craving for immorality. Okay, now we're going to be very careful here because it's very, very careful. You have to be very careful here. So this third watch, these three levels, are just simply representing the three main weaknesses a person has to follow, has to face in his life. So he just brings. So the third watch is when a baby is nursing and a woman is talking to a husband. Don't take it the wrong way, but this means the craving for immorality. As it says, they saw her talking. Whenever a husband would see his wife talking to a strange man, bang, it's bad news. So Rabbi Nachman is going to explain this now. Don't get nervous. Take it easy. It's not too cryptic. Rabbi Nachman is going to explain it. Okay, so we have the three levels. We had the three things in the heart. Okay. We had the three things: wealth, food, and immorality. And then Rabbi Nachman now brought the three watches of the night, which correspond to those three things. Okay? Go on to the next level. Rabbi Nachman now is going to explain the third watch. This gets very interesting. This is the meaning an infant nurses from his mother, because this desire is related to nursing. So now watch this. If an infant suckles milk from an immodest woman, this desire becomes stronger within him. Therefore, when she is because the blood composes and turns into milk. Watch this. The Talmud teaches that from the time a woman conceives a child until she weans it, her menstrual blood decomposes and is converted into breast milk. Based on this, the Shulchan Aruch rules that once pregnancy is established, it can be assumed that the woman will never menstruate. Of course, it's not in all cases. Somebody already yelled at me for this. There is no need to even check for menstrual blood. In the context of our lesson, Rabbi Nachman teaches that the blood a baby suckles when being breastfed can have a decisive effect on his or her future sexual behavior. Wow. It is therefore essential that the milk come from a pious woman. A child who suckles from an immodest woman is more susceptible to sexual temptation later in life. Excuse me. Now I have a question. What if he doesn't suckle? What if his mother can't feed him? The Similac. So it's the energy. It's the different energy. Of course, a person is always going to be challenged with things that he didn't do, and he has to overcome them. As Avraham Sutton says, a person is given things, is saddled with things that he didn't want. The soul is given things that they don't want. All these horrible, stupid, unhealthy desires and mishugas. The person has to come out of it. I heard a very interesting thing that if, say, a woman who's nursing and who's divorced already for 6 months, they do not allow her to get remarried until she stops nursing. It's halacha and Shulchan Aruch. Why? Because after she got divorced, and after we already know that she's not pregnant still from her ex-husband, you wait 3 months and nothing shows up, she's not allowed to get married, even though she's single now, if she's nursing. Why? Because the next guy who meets her will say, I want you to stop nursing this baby. You have no time for me, and you don't look good. I don't like the way you look. You have no time for me, and stop nursing this child. So halacha is that they want this child to be brought up healthy, and they don't allow this woman to get married until she weans the child. So it's not to deny the child the nutrients that the child needs. Very interesting halacha. I just found this out last year. Okay, how are we doing on the time?